All right, we are going to look at measures of center. So specifically in here, we are talking about center. If I say something's in the center, I generally think that means the middle, right? So we are looking at values that represent the middle of a data set, right? So if I'm talking about ages and we're talking about kindergartners, a value of 50 wouldn't make sense because 50 years old is not in the middle of those ages. So what are the measures of center we're going to look at? First off, we have the mean, which is the average of a set of data. So we are going to add up all of the numbers in the data set, and we are going to divide by the number of values in that set. So as you can see in this example there for you, you're adding up the numbers, you're dividing by the number of digits, 1, 2, 3, 4, 5, 6, 7, and you get your answer. Median is the middle number in a set of data. So, most important part for this is you have to put the data in numerical order. Otherwise, it's not going to be a value in the middle, right? If we had a room and it was a bunch of 10-year-olds and one of them was a 30-year-old, and the 30-year-old just happened to be in the middle, that doesn't really represent the general age of people in the room. That's just that person was in the middle. So you have to put it in order from least to greatest, and then you're crossing off and finding, okay, here, the value that's in the middle is 8. Important part here, put a star next to this. If there is an even amount of data values, okay, there will be 2 middle values. So you would find the mean of those 2 middle values to find the mean. And last, we're looking at the mode. So the mode is the number that appears the most often. So mode means most. It is possible, I'll put a star next to this too, to have no mode or to have multiple modes if things duplicate. Okay, let's look at an example first. So the data shows the recorded high temperatures for 7 days in Chicago, Illinois during December. So let's go ahead and find the mean first. So I'm going to add. I am just going to plug into my calculator. It's going to be really helpful if you have a scientific calculator. It's going to make it easier, but if not, just be really careful as you're plugging it in. So 35 plus 0 plus 22 plus 31 plus 17 plus 15 plus 8. When I add those together, I get 128. I'm going to divide this by the number of values. We have 1, 2, 3, 4, 5, 6, 7 values, which is what it said in the problem. So we're going to divide this by 7 in my calculator. And I get a long decimal. So it says 18.285. I'll write a couple of those. I'm going to round to the nearest tenth. So looking at my 8 tells me I'm going to round my 2 up to a 3. So it's going to be about 18.3 for our mean. Next thing, we're going to find the median. Remember, we need to put this in order from least to greatest. So that's what these lines are here for. Be careful as you're doing this. It's important to do it in pencil because it's easy to make mistakes. So we have 0 first, 8, 15, 17, and you'll notice I'm crossing them off as I go to make it easier to look at what's left. 22, 31, 35. All right, now let's go ahead and cross off till we get to the middle. So I'm going to cross off lowest, highest, lowest, highest. I always have to do that in pairs. Lowest, highest. I am finally left with one number in the middle, so our median is 17. That's a value in between 0 and 35. And then mode is what occurs the most often. So first we should be looking, does anything duplicate here? No. So there is none or no mode. All right, number 2. The data set shows the scores that Emily bowled in her league over the last 2 weeks. So let's go ahead and find our mean first. So first thing I'm going to do is I'm going to add these values up and divide. So we've got 150 plus 160 plus 172 plus 154 plus 157 plus 170 plus 154 plus 147 plus 170 plus 155. So we get a total of 1,589. And I'm going to divide that 1, 2, 3, 4, 5, 6, 7, 8, 9, 10 data values, which equals 158.9. So our mean can stay as that 158.9. Now let's go ahead and find our median. So we're putting these in order from least to greatest. So be careful as you're doing this. Lowest number I see is 147. Then 150. Then 154. Then another 154. Then 155. Then 157. Then 160. 170. Another 170. And then last but not least, 172. Now that it is in order from least to greatest, we are going to cross off lowest, highest. So be careful as you're doing it, always as a pair. Lowest, highest. That's 1. Lowest, highest. Lowest, highest. Lowest, highest. If I crossed off lowest and I'm like, oh, I'm left with 157. Well, no, because I always have to do it as a pair. So what that means is that both of these are in the middle. If you have an even data set, which we did with 10, you're going to have 2 numbers in the middle. So that means I'm going to find the mean of those numbers. Maybe you can see it by just looking at, and you can figure out what's right in between 155 and 157. But I'm going to show you by adding. So we do 155 plus 157, all divided by 2, because there's 2 values in what we're adding here. So 155 plus 157 is 312, which we would divide by 2 to get 156. Please make sure that when you're plugging this into the calculator, you do not do it like this. So if you do 155 plus 157 divided by 2, it's going to do order of operations, and it's only going to divide the 157 by 2, not the 155. So it's dividing before it adds. So if you are trying to do it in your calculator, just click 155 plus 157, press enter to get your total, then divide by 2. Versus if I did 155 plus 157 divided by 2, I get 233.5. That's not right. And then last, looking for our mode. So anything that repeats, well, I see 154 repeats and 170. It's really nice to look at when we have it in order to spot those. They both repeat twice, so they both repeat the same amount of times. So they are both going to be our modes. All right, number 3, Anthony researched the average precipitation in several states. We're going to find those measures of center. So first, I'm going to add them up. So let's calculate. We've got 58 plus 54 plus 52 plus 46 plus 60 plus 42 plus 32 plus 42 equals 386. Divided by, there is 1, 2, 3, 4, 5, 6, 7, 8 values. And we get 48.25. I'm going to round that to the nearest tenth. Our 5 tells us we're going to round our 2 up to a 3, so 48.3. Now let's go ahead and find the median. So we're going to put these in order from least to greatest. 32, then 42, another 42, 46, 52, 54, 58, and 60. Now let's go ahead and find that middle value. So I'm crossing off in pairs, lowest, highest, lowest, highest, lowest, highest. If I crossed off this lowest, I would have to cross them both off. So instead, both of these are the middle. There was an even set, which is why there's 2 in the middle. So I'm going to find the average of these two, 46 plus 52 divided by 2. So I'm plugging in 46 plus 52 is 98. Divide 98 by 2 and we get 49. Always double check, is 49 in between 46 and 52? Yeah. A lot of times people will give like 98 as an answer. Well, that doesn't make sense. That's not in between those two. It's not even in the center of the data. 49 is. And then our mode, what occurs most often? The only thing that I see that duplicates is 42, so 42 is going to be our mode. All right, last one. We've got our table showing that the number of monkeys at 12 different zoos. So let's go ahead and find the mean. So I'm going to add these up. 28 plus 36 plus 18 plus 25 plus 12 plus 44 plus 18 plus 42 plus 34 plus 18 plus 31 plus 31. We get 337. And we are going to divide. It says 12 zoos. I'll just double check. 1, 2, 3, 4, 5, 6, 7, 8, 9, 10, 11, 12. When I divide 337 divided by 12, we get 28.083333333. So I'm going to write that as 28.083. Rounding to the nearest tenth, I look at the 8. The 8 tells me I'm going to round my 0 up to a 1, so 28.1. And then median, let's put these in order from least to greatest, starting with 12, then 18, another 18, another 18, then we've got 25, 28, 31, another 31, 34, 36, 42, 44. All right, let's find the median. Crossing off. Lowest, highest. Lowest, highest. Lowest, highest. Lowest, highest. Lowest, highest. If I crossed off my lowest, I'd have to cross that off. So we have 2 values in the middle. Makes sense because we have an even data set. So let's find the average of those two. 28 plus 31 divided by 2. Our number should be somewhere in between those two. 28 plus 31 equals 59. 59 divided by 2 equals 29.5. That is in between those two. It makes sense. And then mode, what occurs the most often? So I'm looking for duplicates first. I see that 18 repeats and 31 also repeats. So it's not like up here where 154 and 170 were both our modes, because they both repeated twice. Down here, 18 repeats 3 times, 31 only repeats twice. So 18 is going to be our mode, because although they both repeat, 18 repeats the most times. And that is it.